For Complex News, I'm Pierce Simpson. Legendary NBA coach Pat Riley put it best. Championship teams don't lose their dominance by sheer lack of talent. It usually arises because of the disease of more. The more include more time to rest on laurels, more time to indulge in the vices that come with the title, and more time to just implode. If you would have told me before the season that the Los Angeles Clippers would be first in the Western Conference ahead of the likes of the Houston Rockets and the historic Golden State Warriors, I'd tell you you were crazy. A team with no bona fide superstars thought to be in a complete rebuild should be nowhere near the top of the vaunted Western Conference, let alone sitting in the #1 spot this early. However, in a bit of irony or just pure comedic timing from the basketball gods, those same Los Angeles Clippers could have very well derailed the latest dynasty in NBA history. In what many thought to be a mundane game in early November, the Clippers dominated the Golden State Warriors for much of the contest, until Golden State does what Golden State does, unleashing a fury of threes from 3 of their 4 future Hall of Famers, leading a comeback with a chance to win in regulation. Then Draymond's rebound happened. Then Draymond's turnover happened. Then Kevin Durant's unnecessary tirade happened. And then the rest became history. Since that eventful night in Staples Center, the Golden State Warriors have lost 5 games since November 12th. Curry has so far missed over 10 games with injury during this latest stretch, and Draymond Green is rapidly approaching double-digit games missed with the injured toe. In between those injuries, Draymond Green's personal tirade at Kevin Durant in Staples Center that night resulted in the Michigan native being suspended 1 game without pay. And that tirade accelerated the thought of Kevin Durant potentially bolting in free agency this summer. I mean, if you believe the reports, Draymond even dared homie to do so. But with the absurd amount of losses in a 2-week span for a team with an absurd amount of talent, this seems to be a fork in the road moment for the Dubs. They're entering a new arena next year that will skyrocket the value of the franchise, a franchise in which could have a payroll of nearly $500 million with KD potentially coming back. Kevin Durant has been speculated to leave this offseason, with the short list of teams being the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Los Angeles Lakers. But why would a guy that could very well help his squad win 3 straight titles, 3 straight NBA Finals MVPs, help Golden State achieve 4 titles in 5 years with no definitive competition in sight, just leave? Well, a historic team that was created under historic circumstances has to end in a historic or maybe flat out messy way, right? A lot of analysts have stated that players don't leave championship teams, which is true in a vacuum, but oftentimes dynasties end before we as fans know that it's over. For instance, the LA Lakers of the early 2000s were poised to rattle off multiple three-peats and relinquish a reign that MJ had over the NBA since his retirement. The Lakers show behind Shaq and Kobe returning the title in 2000 with a complete sweep of the Pacers in 4 games. The next year, they only lost 1 game the entire postseason, and that game came at the hands of league MVP Allen Iverson, and it took overtime to do so. The next year, they crushed everyone in sight with another final sweep, this time crushing the New Jersey Nets. While everyone thought the I Love LA song would be heard during countless NBA finals for the foreseeable future, that 02-03 finals was the last final series victory of Shaq and Kobe together. Direct feuding between those 2 alpha dogs over the next couple seasons created a mutiny in Los Angeles and resulted in both players essentially giving the Lakers an ultimatum: me or him. Shaq found his way to Miami and Kobe stayed behind. That dynasty wasn't folded based on talent or on-court chemistry, but away from the game. Granted, some might argue that Shaq and Kobe's feud was a bit different. You have 2 guys with distinctly different ways to go about the journey to success. Well, what about a potential dynasty we watched come unhinged last season between 2 figures with much of the same fiery desire to succeed: Bill Belichick and Tom Brady? Now, I completely understand those that will point towards the Patriots making it to the Super Bowl last year and a distinctive run of success the past decade and a half. But last year was different. There seemed to be a weakness in their armor. Reports circulated nearly every week leading up to the postseason about bickering between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, with Brady being set in his ways and having a unique vision of how to win in his mid-40s, and BB being as cutthroat as ever, trying to hoard the player he felt could be the heir apparent to Brady's throne, Jimmy G. That turmoil led to the Patriots losing to an underdog Philadelphia Eagles team who was missing their starting quarterback. That same turmoil carried over into the offseason with both Brady and Rob Gronkowski pondering retirement, sort of acting as a proverbial middle finger to Bill Belichick, who is seemingly wanting to get back control of a deteriorating dynasty. Sometimes, even though the play on the field or court can be outstanding and the chemistry is A1, the finances of a dynasty can derail them as well. Take a look at the 90s Bulls. One of the most iconic dynasties in professional sports secured 2 separate three-peats and could have very well remained on the throne into the early 2000s. However, Jerry Krause had other ideas of his aging roster, a roster he didn't want to pay top dollar for. As the story goes, Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson got wind of those intentions of Krause and decided that the '98 season would be the last dance. And as Michael Jordan put it himself, it's not easy leaving when you're on top. It was a very sad situation because we never lost in the finals. I never knew what it felt like if you're going to be king of the hill, stay until someone knocks you down, and then you shake their hand and say, you enjoy it, and now you'll see how difficult it is. Now, we have to live the rest of our lives with the idea of, wow, we could have won 7, or 8, or 9. Even dynasties on the horizon can be faltered because of finances. Fresh off of an impressive 2012 Finals performance against the Miami Heat, the Oklahoma City Thunder looked like a team that could dominate the NBA for the next decade plus. That vision eroded for under $10 million, some would argue. Fears about the luxury tax and deciding the structure of the team, James Harden was shipped to Houston, and the organically made big three of James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook was no more. 3 future league MVPs, all on one roster, all drafted in 3 consecutive years, all we thought were poised to win a title together. Which brings us back to the guy included in that never materialized dynasty of before, Kevin Durant. This offseason could alter the course of the NBA as we know it, and while those previous dynasties may have one major roadblock, this one seems to potentially have all of them. The friction, the turmoil, the noise, the finances. All the roadblocks seem to be in the way of the Golden State Warriors. But let's face it, 90% of this will be fodder by the time the NBA Finals rolls around. With DeMarcus Cousins likely to be back after Christmas and both Steph Curry and Draymond Green getting healthy along the way, the Dubs will still be a favorite, by a wide margin. Even though it may seem like we're watching a dynasty crumble before us, sometimes the best things tend to emerge out of chaos. That same chaos has witnessed Kevin Durant publicly back his teammate Draymond Green and put aside any differences they may have had for the greater good of the squad. Not to mention, homie dropped nearly a 50-piece on the Orlando Magic with Draymond Green himself in awe and cheering his teammate on. Stephen Curry has been more visual, sitting on the sidelines, chomping at the bit to return to action and quiet some of the noise that's been swirling around Oracle. Tonight's test against the Toronto Raptors could quell any type of hesitation we may have had about Golden State and render all the struggles of November a moot point. But then again, with a guy like Kawhi Leonard waiting, we could be in for more drama in the Bay. What are you guys' thoughts on the Golden State Warriors? Let us know in the comment section down below, and keep it locked to Complex News by subscribing to us on YouTube. For Complex News, I'm Pierce Simpson.